All right, so today we're gonna go beyond the typical tour of Scottsdale, Arizona. While, many people will see Scottsdale as an idyllic paradise adorned with, luxury resorts, exclusive shopping, and look, it is. There's definitely another side to consider before making it your actual home. So let's dive into some of the less, discussed aspects of living in this renowned city. Get ready to see Scottsdale in a whole different light. I'm David Van Asche, your Phoenix and Scottsdale area real estate broker. You can call, text, or email me to discuss anything related to moving here to the area or buying or selling a home here. And be sure to hit that subscribe button right now so you can come back to this channel and see all the other videos that we have here to help you learn about and research moving and living here in the Scottsdale and greater Phoenix metro area. Okay, so first up on this list, we're gonna talk about what may probably be the most obvious, but maybe most overlooked, the cost of living. Now, if you're looking at statistics online, it might not be unusual to just compare it by the whole state or maybe even Maricopa County, which is where Phoenix and Scottsdale are. The reality is there's a very large difference in cost of living between places like Scottsdale, Glendale, Chandler, Gilbert. It spans major different ranges, and a lot of people don't realize that because when you look on the map, you can zoom in on the Phoenix metro area and it looks like, oh, this is the city, but in real life, when you actually live here, you don't realize how big it is until you get here. So first off, Scottsdale is essentially the Beverly Hills of the Phoenix metro area. There is, Paradise Valley, which is gonna have the ultra expensive homes in areas, but we're not talking about that. The reality is more people have heard of Scottsdale and know that it's in Arizona than they have the Grand Canyon, or that they know the Grand Canyon is here in the same state. Scottsdale is an area synonymous with luxury, but that luxury isn't without its costs. Scottsdale, especially the Old Town area, and even a little further north up in the Kierland, which is south of the 101 freeway, south and east if you're looking on the map, it's extremely accessible to literally anyone, whether you live here in the area or not. But as you'll see, the costs can be definitely staggering. And look, it's not just the real estate market here that's expensive. It's one of the priciest areas in the nation. Day-to-day expenses here, from dining at high-end restaurants, definitely your golf budget. If you're gonna live in Scottsdale, golf is a big part of living here. To maintaining your pool and your house and just general services. You're gonna wanna keep all of that in mind when you're considering moving to and relocating here to Scottsdale. So perhaps, you don't want to spend Scottsdale prices, but you still wanna be in Arizona. There is, more budget-friendly neighborhoods and areas that do offer much of Scottsdale's charm without the same level of, the same steepness of cost. I'm not saying that there's, cheap places necessarily, but there's definitely areas that are not quite as expensive as Scottsdale, but offer a lot of the same quality of life amenities. So if you're curious, I'm more than happy to share these hidden gems. Just reach out. You can shoot me a text, give me a call. I'll leave my number here on the screen for the next 15 seconds or so you can take note of that, write it down, or just plug it into your phone. All right, next up is traffic. Now, while you're taking down my number, let's talk about the traffic. As Scottsdale has grown and the greater Phoenix area, so has the number of cars on the road, especially during the winter tourist season, which is December through April typically. Traffic can be absolutely relentless. The local governments though, the state, the city, the county, I think honestly do a really great job with infrastructure and maintenance, but it's always a game of trying to keep up, expanding the roads, improving routes, maintaining the roads we have. It's constant ongoing work, but since we don't have a typical winter like a lot of people are used to, it can go year round. So ultimately though, it does sometimes feel like it's always, a step behind, the deluge of people that continue to move here into the area. So one thing I want to show you is a real-time look at what traffic is like during a typical, rush hour on a Thursday afternoon. Just look at all that red and yellow on the map. It illustrates, the slow-moving reality that many residents here face. All right, so if you're kind of thinking about public transportation. You're probably in, you know, Chicago or New York. I don't know of any other cities that people typically move here from where they ask about public transportation, only because Chicago and New York and cities like that have actual public transportation in the sense that what you're used to. I will say regarding public transportation, here there basically isn't any, not in the sense that, or the way that you're you know, might be thinking. So if you're used to cities like that, or even Washington, D.C., public transport literally does not exist here like that. While there is something they do call public transport, there are a few buses and things like that. It's extremely limited in service and scope, and to be honest, it's mostly used by niche users such as, you know, on-demand paratransit services, and some of the, you know, more elderly homes, things like that, you know. But the general public, for the most part, I'm talking like 99% plus, pretty much never ever use public transport, other than maybe to get them, you know, to and from a sporting event, where you park your car a mile or two outside the stadium and grab a tram towards the stadium. That is one example that, you know, you might see here. So the city of Scottsdale and the entire Phoenix metro, a lot like Southern California, was designed and built around cars. Basically, not very many people at all were here prior to 1950. And of course, you know, if you know a little bit about history, it just grew, and cars have been a part of the culture here ever since. It never really was built without them. So the good news is there are spacious parking lots, wide roads, you know, that's the norm here. So if you don't drive and you're planning on moving here, I mean, well, look, you're going to have to adapt quickly. You know, whether it's budgeting, you know, for regular Uber, Lyft, or taxi rides, here's the reality. It's going to be completely necessary to dust off or get your driver's license and go shopping for a new ride. It's just the way it is. You're not going to want to live here without, you know, a regular car to get around. It's just not, I mean, sure, you could do it, but yeah, not really. All right, so let's talk about the tourists. While there's a very vibrant economy full of high-tech jobs and different roles here, tourists, you know, built Scottsdale and continue to be a significant part of, you know, Scottsdale's vibe. Many of you watching might have already experienced Scottsdale before as tourists. Maybe you visited some friends here. Maybe you came here for spring training, baseball, something like that. Of course, golf courses are a big thing. You got the luxurious spas and different vibrant festivals, whether it's here in the city of Scottsdale or nearby in Phoenix or other parts of the valley. Here's the deal. While tourism boosts the economy here, it also means that living here can sometimes feel like you're in a never-ending, you know, vacation spot, especially Scottsdale. So if you prefer a more quiet local atmosphere, the constant influx of visitors could be overwhelming, annoying maybe, or just undesirable. However, not all of Scottsdale is a tourist haven. There are many, and I mean that, many quieter, gated, fully residential neighborhoods and areas that are particularly to the north and east of the city. These areas offer a more subdued, you know, relaxed, chill golf course lifestyles especially. So click on the link above. I'm going to stick a link here for the next video. I did a video showing where all these new construction homes are here in Scottsdale. You want to check that out, just because the reality is these are some of the last new construction homes that will ever be built in Scottsdale, other than, you know, one-off remodels or a custom home on a lot, something like that. But as far as like going into a development full of new homes, that video link, wherever it's going to be posted, is going to be kind of your guide to showing you where those are. Scottsdale and Phoenix area, of course, are huge. So look, it can be really hard to digest what areas are going to be ideal for you, your family, or your situation, and, you know, whatever your goals are, you know, end result. What is the ideal end result? And here's the deal. You can watch these YouTube videos, my videos, of course, but definitely call or text us so we can discuss and show you these areas if you're looking for a different kind of area. You know, Scottsdale is definitely wonderful, expensive, but busy and full of tourists. Let us know what's going on in your world. You can either comment below or shoot us a text. So let's talk about water scarcity. Now, this doesn't just apply to the city of Scottsdale. This is basically all of Arizona, and it's another critical issue in, you know, here in our desert city. Discussions about water usage and conservation are definitely ongoing, and they affect everything from residential landscaping choices to, you know, public water features or lack thereof, not building them. Although, you know, look, there's innovative solutions going on, such as there's a potential desalinization project that has been discussed, putting down in Mexico, drawing in seawater, and then being able to build a pipeline to pump water up to Phoenix. This is long-term future talk. There hasn't been any discussion formally, I think, in any public government setting, but there are governments and people and large companies that are spitballing ideas on how they can actually make the future of Phoenix sustainable if the current sources of water don't supply the necessary amounts that are needed here. So here's the reality, guys. Water costs here are definitely likely to increase over time, but today's prices are much, and I mean that, much lower compared to other cities throughout America. Preparing for the future costs is something every resident should consider, but considering how cheap water is today compared to other cities, you could triple or even quadruple the price of water, and the average person, while they will for sure complain, can definitely afford it. I'm gonna give you a little perspective. Personally, my home was built in the late 90s. It's on a 12,000 or so square foot lot. It's got a huge, lush green grass lawn, an almost 1,000 square foot pool, and my family, of course, who doesn't skimp on showers and baths and dishes and things like that. My point is, this home was built before water conservation efforts really started to take hold in a meaningful way, and it's one of the best examples, I guess, of one of the most extreme uses of water by a home here in the desert. Of course, I'm looking at making some changes, but here's why I don't yet. In July last year, my home used 120,000 gallons of water. That's that's about 4 semi-trucks. I think mostly due to the pool evaporation and of course keeping the lawn and palm trees and everything else green. How much did it cost me? Well, this might sound like a lot of money to some people, but it was less than $400. I mean, that is just crazy to me that you can get 4 semi-truckloads of water from the city, treated, clean, good water, that, delivered for $400. The average home in Chandler is definitely way under $100 a month, even in the summer. My point is, this same amount of water in the city of Seattle would be a bill of $1,400 or $1,100 even in Los Angeles. The issue is, they say that water is a problem here, but financially, it would cost me way more to transform my lawn into a desert landscape than it costs to just keep buying, artificially inexpensive water. Of course, nobody wants things to be more expensive, but that is the reality. Water is extremely cheap here compared, when you think about how far it has to go to get here and treating, it's crazy. But here's the deal. When water rates are almost 4 times more around the US than they are here in the Phoenix area, just know that the water discussion, while it's definitely a real concern, it tends to be, I think, my personal opinion, it's a lot more politics than it is actual real issues, in my opinion. I don't ever see a day where you turn the tap on in the Phoenix area and water doesn't come out. There's gonna be other solutions. It might cost more. I just don't realistically see how that could ever happen. There's a ton of water wasted here in the desert by homes like mine, farmers, growing alfalfa and other really water intensive crops. A lot of that's being changed over either into housing developments, which use way less water than the farms did, or they can switch out those crops for other types of, growing that isn't as water intensive. So here's the deal. The reality is there's a lot of water to go around, more than people think, and people in the community as a whole will just have to find ways to encourage people to use less of it and to diversify where it comes from in the future. That is just my 2 cents and the opinion of taking the politics out of it and looking at it from a real life, here's what we got to deal with. All right, so let's talk about diversity and demographics here in Scottsdale. It's a question that I get a lot, and here's the deal. Scottsdale's cultural diversity, or lack thereof, is something many prospective residents are, curious about. You're watching this video and you're still with me here. The city of Scottsdale doesn't boast the multicultural environment that you might find in a more metropolitan area. It really has a more homogeneous population and feel, which might not appeal to everyone. The demographic data, if you go online, it shows predominantly a white Caucasian population, very small percentage of Hispanic, African American, and other racial groups. The cultural scene here reflects this demographic makeup with a limited range of diverse cultural offerings. Wages too in this area, if you look at the demographic data, it is way above average for Arizona and for the United States as a whole. So, essentially, it's not uncommon for a household to make 150 to 200,000 or more living in these kinds of environments. So, we talked about cost of living at the beginning. Just my 2 cents and personal opinion, as a household and a family with kids, if your household income isn't at least bare minimum 175,000 a year, yeah, you certainly could live here and find a home. We could help you, but it's an expensive place to live, and you're gonna wanna have that monthly income and budget to be able to afford, to live in a luxury area. So, if you're not making 175,000 or more a year, there's definitely other areas of the Phoenix Valley that are probably gonna be a lot better for you as a, collective whole, considering the cost of housing, your income, et cetera, et cetera. So reach out to us, let us know what's going on and what you're thinking. All right, so next we're gonna talk about the real estate market, where we are the experts and authority on that subject. So, everything else I talk about in this channel is mostly my personal opinions. As a licensed professional, as a broker here in the state of Arizona, I spend a lot of my time studying stats and information about sales and where mortgages are and what's going on. How are all these different things playing into the housing market? So it's a really dynamic and challenging situation here in Scottsdale. Scottsdale has always been, more expensive relative to the Phoenix area as a whole, but the soaring prices since the pandemic has sparked concerns around some, circles about sustainability and, potential bubbles. Is there a bubble? When prices shot up after COVID the way they did, are they gonna stay that high and continue to grow? Well, as of the recording of this video, yes, they are staying that high and continuing to grow, maybe not as fast. So here's the deal. While the current market is great for sellers, as a buyer, somebody looking at moving here, you need to consider the long-term implications of your investment. It's definitely an exciting market, it's an exciting place to live, but caution is always advised. I always, tell a story, way back in 2008 when the major housing crisis happened, a lot of people decided to just dump their house and walk away from it. Had they just stayed in their home and kept making that mortgage payment through the downturn and, through to today, your house would be worth way more than you ever paid for it. So buying a home, of course, is a long-term investment. I always tell people, bare minimum, if you're not planning on living in that home at least 3 years, more is better. It's probably better to go rent. So the question remains, what happens if the bubble bursts? Understanding the balance between, I should say, not if the bubble bursts, but is there a bubble? That's the main question, right? And there's a lot of arguments out there, a lot of pundits who have been repeatedly proven wrong over and over again. I watched some of their YouTube videos about that. But anyway, from everything I'm seeing, more people want to live here than there's room for. And those people have the incomes to support the lifestyle and the prices that are demanded here. So yeah, is it gonna pop a bubble? I just don't see how. In any case, understanding the balance between demand and supply is definitely crucial for anyone looking to invest or buy a home here in Scottsdale. Now, with that said, of course, more people are wanting to be here than there's room for, and I don't personally know what would cause a drop in prices other than a major catastrophic economic downturn similar to back in 2008, although it would have to be caused by some other black swan event, something that no one's looking at or looking for right now. But all the normal indicators that all the professional economists are looking at just say that we're short on houses. There's not enough houses to go around for the number of people who want and can afford it. But here's the deal, where the wealthiest Americans would have to lose a lot of money in order to make Scottsdale not work the way it is now. If you compare Scottsdale to affluent areas of California like La Jolla in San Diego or Beverly Hills up in Los Angeles, the wealthy Americans want to be in these areas, and they have the ability and desire to pay the price to do so. So there's a lot of strength and power in controlling and owning real estate in these most desirable areas of the world. And if you're thinking about moving to Scottsdale and you have the ability and the budget and everything else is looking good, then by all means, we can show you the spots to be and where the opportunities are, where the best social clubs are and golf clubs, things like that, that actually might have memberships available, which most of them, of course, are sold out. There's another video on my channel you can click on to see more about that. So let's talk about allergies and dust living here in the desert. does mean dealing with dust, and allergies for some people, are not the most desirable thing here. The dry climate makes dust ever present, and it's just part of the way of life. However, most people I know with sinus issues that move here find that the dry weather, brings a welcome relief, myself included, but for some people, dust allergies can be a real issue. If that's you, consider spending 4 or 5 weeks here for an extended vacation before you decide to buy, and just see how your body reacts to and how it likes this desert environment. That's really all I can recommend. You got to invest the time to just come on a long-term vacation and just live here for a minute. For most people, look, a really easy and inexpensive solution to the dust problem, just spend the extra money on the higher end HEPA air filters for your HVAC system on your house. And look, that's the reality. Change them out every 2 or 3 months and you're gonna have basically a dust-free home. Don't have to really deal with it. So yeah, is it an issue? Yes. Is it overcomable, or is it an insurmountable obstacle? Of course not. All right, let's talk about urban sprawl. It's definitely one of the defining features or realities of the greater Phoenix area, including Scottsdale. This sprawl means that some residents do face longer commutes and a community feel that can sometimes, seem a little bit diluted. While this might be a drawback for some, others kind of find their communities through, social clubs, golf courses, and, other shared interest groups that bring people together despite the physical distances between them. To drive from the furthest point in North Scottsdale up against the mountains down to, Old Town, which is the south end of Scottsdale, it could take literally 47 minutes without traffic. And that's just in the city of Scottsdale. Put that in perspective for my Seattle people, that's like driving from downtown Seattle to Stanwood in the north part of Snohomish County. Scottsdale is huge. The Phoenix metro area, of course, is even bigger. So let us help you understand where the best spots are for you so that you can figure out, where to do your research and where to invest and spend more time looking. All right, lastly, I do want to mention the weather, and not, that it's super hot here in the summer. Duh, everybody knows that it's hot here in the summer, but one thing you're gonna wanna keep in mind is that with all the sunshine can come some intense sun exposure. It's important to protect yourself from these kinds of effects. Let's just say lots of moisturizing sunscreen is crucial to keeping your skin cancer away and your skin from feeling a little bit too dry. And one other thing I found to be a bit of a bummer with the summer, of course, is 4th of July. There's not really the backyard 4th of July celebrations. They're not really a thing here anymore. Not like what you'd expect or see in a normal summer, place like, all throughout, the north, Washington, Colorado, Montana, North Dakota, where I used to live. I mean, great background 4th of July barbecues. Not so much a thing here. It's just, that's what the heat does to it. The summertime is basically a much more subdued time of year. You won't be kicking a soccer ball around the backyard when it's 112 degrees out in the middle of July. So to be honest, guys, it really was hard for me to come up with a list of reasons not to live in Scottsdale. It literally has everything. It's really easy to access, and even though there is a lot of traffic, especially in the winter months, it's pretty easy to get around. The biggest constraint for most people is cost. The equivalent modern home in Chandler or Gilbert, which are also very desirable areas of the valley, it'll be almost double in the Scottsdale area. A really nice $700,000 or $800,000 home in Gilbert will probably be 1.3 to 1.8 in Scottsdale. So that begs the question, is Scottsdale right for you? Look, it really depends on what your lifestyle looks like, what you're looking for, and how much money do you have access to that you can spend. Many of our clients start their search in Scottsdale, and with our help, they discover that there are some really other great areas of the Phoenix metro that are more affordable and more enjoyable, and so allow you to drive to Scottsdale whenever you want to go out to a dinner or meet up with some friends from out of town and go entertain, and do that without having to pay Scottsdale prices to be 5-10 minutes away. So let us help you find that area. Right now, before you forget, send me a text message, call me, or you can shoot me an email. My team and I cover Scottsdale and the entire Phoenix metro area. So we know it all and can help you and your family find whatever the best area is here in Scottsdale or the Phoenix metro area for you. Reach out anytime and let's find your perfect place here in the beautiful warm sunshine and desert. I made the move and you can too. It's a move that a lot of people have made before you and many more will come after. So be sure again to subscribe, explore the next video on my channel here and here. And until the next video, guys, catch you on the next one. See you later.